And that takes me to my grandfather. My grandfather was a man's man, but I don't think I ever heard my grandfather say anything off color whatsoever. And I'm sure he knew how to do that. But I never heard him swear. I never heard him say anything untoward about the opposite gender. Or just never heard him say anything like that. And he was a long way from perfect, but his language was pristine and clean. And so one night we were driving through our neighborhood at Christmas. All of our family's in our car and my grandfather's in the car. And we drive by a live nativity scene. And I may have been 10 years old. And the only thing worse than like a 12-year-old boy kind of moving into junior high sort of thing is a 59-year-old boy. That's the only thing that's worse than that. And my grandfather, who seldom said any words at all anyway, said, just in a very soft voice, and I'm sitting right next to him, he goes, and he sees the live nativity scene, he says, there's Jack. And we rode on. And I'm going, I wasn't the brightest star in the heavens. And we're driving along and I'm going, there's Jack. And I go, Grandpa cussed. And of course Grandpa never did cuss, but I got it. And I have, every time I was riding on my motorcycle yesterday up in North Texas and I drove past a donkey and I go, there's Jack. And it's just... So we're going to hear Jack's story today. How many of you have a basic knowledge of Balaam and his donkey, that story? How many of you just would consider, I basically know the story? If you don't, all I'm going to say, it's not necessarily one of the best known stories, but once you've heard it, you normally aren't going to forget it. Balaam's story. So I'm going to read it, and we're going to talk about it. It's in Numbers 22. And so if you brought your Bible, that's always good in this class, but I have provided it for you. Then the Israelites traveled to the plains of Moab and camped along the Jordan across the Jericho. And now Balak, son of Zippor's son, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was terrified because there were so many people. Indeed, Moab was filled with dread because of the Israelites. The Moabites said to the elders of Midian, this horde is going to lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field. What does he mean by that? The Israelites are coming. They can look at them with their field binoculars and they go, boy, there's a mess of them. So Balak, son of Zippor, I like saying that as opposed to Zippor. Okay. Who was king of Moab at the time, sent messengers to summon Balak, son of Beor, who was at Pethor, near the river, in his native land. And Balak said, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the face of the land and have settled next to me. Now come and put a curse on these people because they are too powerful for me. Perhaps then I will be able to defeat them and drive them out of the country. For I know that those you bless are blessed and those you curse are cursed. So curse them. That's what I'm looking for here. The elders of Moab and Midian left, taking with them the fee for divination. When they came to Balaam, they told him what Balak had said. Spend the night here, Balaam said to them, and I will give you back the answer the Lord gives me. So the Moabite princes stayed with him. God came to Balaam and asked, who are these men with you? And Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent me this message. A people that has come out of Egypt covers the face of the land. Now come and put a curse on them for me. Perhaps then I will be able to fight them and drive them away. But God said to Balaam, do not go with them. You must not put a curse on those people because they are blessed. The next morning Balaam got up, said to Balak's princes, go back to your own country, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you. So the Moabite princes returned to Balak and said, Balaam refused to come with us. Then Balak sent other princes, more numerous, more distinguished than the first. They came to Balaam and said, "This is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Do not let anything keep you from coming to me, because I will reward you handsomely and do whatever you say. Come and put a curse on these people for me." But Balaam answered, "Even if Balak gave me his palace filled with silver and gold, I could not do anything great or small to go beyond the command of the Lord my God. Now stay here tonight as the others did, and I will find out what else the Lord will tell me." That night God came to Balaam and said, "Since these men have come out to summon you, go with them, but do only what I tell you." Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. But God, this is where it starts getting good. But God was it's been really boring up to now, I understand. Okay. But God was very angry when he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword, she turned off the road into a field, and Balaam beat her to get back on the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between 2 vineyards with walls on both sides. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pressed close to the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. So he beat her again. There's a lot of male stuff going on here. Okay. Then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, either to the right or to the left. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam, and he was angry and beat her with his staff. When in doubt, then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" That startled him, I'm sure. Okay. Balaam answered the donkey, "You've made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." The donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?" One of the greatest lines in the Bible, right there. "No," he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn, so he bowed low and fell face down. The angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I've come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away, I would have certainly killed you by now, but I would have spared the donkey." Who's Jack here? Okay. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now if you're displeased, I will go back." And the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but speak only what I tell you." So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the Moabite town of Arnon border at the edge of his territory. Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not send you an urgent summons? Why didn't you come to me? Am I really not able to reward you?" "Well, I have come to you now," Balaam replied. But can I say just anything? I must speak only what God puts in my mouth." Then Balaam went with Balak to Kiriath-Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep, gave some to Balaam and the princes who were with him. And the next morning Balak took Balaam up to the Bamoth Baal. And from there he saw part of the people. That's the story. And it's the heart of the story that we're grappling with here today. Okay?